Boston Braves, Atlanta Braves used to be the Boston Braves?
I did not know that.
I didn't either. Did you know that, Kevin?
I thought they were always Sox.
No, I'm not a big baseball guy. I'm a football guy for the most part. College football, not even pro.
I didn't know that either till this morning. I've on a page that something, it's trivia stuff, and it was the only player to wear the three Braves, play for all three Braves franchises, and I did not realize that they were in Boston also. And I was wondering where the hell they played baseball at, because I don't think they ever played at Fenway, or they probably played at Fenway against Red Sox, but I wouldn't think that the Fenway was used for any other team besides the Red Sox. I'm gonna have to do some look up on that.
Fenway's a great stadium, though. Very, very quaint, very nice, very clean.
Yes, it is.
I would live in New England in a second. If I won the lottery, that's where I'm going.
Okay, we can talk about that, and you could live here 6 months of the year, and that's what my wife and I are probably going to do. And then the other 6 months of the year, you got to get the hell out of here. It's too cold.
Yeah, it's
too snowy. It's depressive.
So me wanting to spend my winters in Rye, New Hampshire would not be enjoyable, is what you're telling me?
No. But summers are fantastic. Fall, spring is not great, but summer and fall are phenomenal. And when I say fall, it goes all the way to Christmas. Really, Christmas all the way through Christmas. January is good for me because of duck season, but February is an absolute miserable. My wife is like, I travel all over the half of the country for work. She's always like, get the hell to Florida, go to South Carolina, just get out of here.
Take me with you. Yeah, I would. February is a depressive month, I think, wherever you live. It's just a shit month. I can't. Now we're on the backside of March, and like, I can deal with this.
February, March suck.
You know what I mean? The first half of March is awful, but like, now we got kid baseball coming, turkey season coming, and it's like, and then summer break will be here when all that wraps up. So like, now we're on the fast track to fall, I feel like, now that we're looking at the end of March. So
I don't disagree.
All right, here comes our introduction music, and then we're going to rock and roll.
All righty.
And 1.
Boom! Welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, Public Land Hunter. Brought to you by Shin Gear. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Turkey season's here for the southern states. Check out Shin Gear's turkey lineup.
We're going full-fledged Yankee today. We got to go up to Massachusetts. Mr. Kevin Patterson, who's a Texan but lives in the most beautiful place in the country, the Northeast. How are you, Kevin?
But come on now.
But you're
Don't call me a Yankee.
You're representing the Northeast, which I think is the most beautiful part of the country. So,
1,000%.
How does a boy from Texas end up in Massachusetts?
I always tell people this, and when they ask me, I always say it's either work or a woman. Mine was a woman. So I met a lovely young lady from Baltimore, Maryland, who was living in Massachusetts, and I told her we could date, but I'm never moving to Massachusetts. And I've been here since 2013.
Well, I will say this, you upgraded from Baltimore to Boston pretty damn good. That was a damn good upgrade. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely wouldn't live in Baltimore. It's, we got married in Baltimore because that's where she's from, but it's not my cup of tea for a town.
Now you're from North Andover, which is about 30 minutes from the coast. Is that right?
Yeah, 25 usually, just something like that. 25, 30 minutes from the coast.
Do you hunt the sea ducks around Boston?
So I'm a little bit of a purist. I'm more a puddle duck, black duck hunter, and the marsh is my favorite. But yes, I mean, I go out. I have friends that have sea duck boats, and I've gone out on some guided hunts through Ducks Unlimited, and so yeah, I've killed pretty much every sea duck that's out there. But I don't do it on my own. I'm mostly a puddle duck enthusiast.
So where did you grow up in Texas?
I was born in Fort Worth, but I grew up in Arlington.
Oh, okay. Okay. So did you grow up hunting Texoma or anything? Where'd you grow up hunting in Texas?
No. So funny. I grew up. My dad was a big fisherman. He worked at Miller Brewing Company there on 35, just south of Fort Worth, and he was an avid bass fisherman. And so I used to go with him all the time, and he kind of burned me out on bass fishing until I got a little bit older. Now I'm an avid bass fisherman, but the person that got me into hunting was when I started dating my first wife. That is now lives in Colleyville with my oldest son. And her father was a big hunter, and he had kind of gotten out of it. And so I started hunting with him when I started dating her, my senior year of high school. Got into kind of the normal, get into dove hunting, then get into pheasant hunting, then get into quail hunting. I lived in Nebraska, so I hunted Nebraska, South Dakota. So I was much more of an upland hunter. And then I would do some puddle duck hunting here and there on ponds, et cetera. And then gradually, when I got up here, not a whole lot of upland hunting to do. And I wanted to do, some sort of hunting. And so I ramped up on the waterfowl side of things.
Now, how hard is it? The East is liberals, and I know a lot of them are anti-hunters. Or some places like Vermont, New Hampshire, where hunting is really looked on is part of society, and everybody likes it. In Massachusetts, around that Boston area, do you catch a lot of shit from the anti-hunter?
No, surprisingly not. No, they're obviously here, but funny thing, big news in the Commonwealth yesterday. They announced a couple of changes to the hunting laws. So in Maine and Massachusetts, you cannot hunt on Sundays, and it's the blue laws, the Puritan laws. And so, that was one of the holdouts, the last one of two holdouts on being able to hunt on Sundays. I actually liked it because it would give the waterfowl a break. Yeah. And with my flexible schedule, I could hunt on a Monday morning. So I could go out after a full day of rest. The ducks were unmolested and be able to hunt them. But they just announced yesterday, Maura Healey announced that they're getting rid of the ban on hunting for Sunday. And you now can hunt with a lady crossbow. So I can make fun of my buddies who switch from compound bows to crossbows. And they also changed some distance, I think, for bow hunting from a residence, and which we'll get into that on the residence side of things, because Massachusetts is hard. You can find the ducks sometimes, but sometimes you can't hunt there because it's too close to residence.
What's the yards or feet or whatever for residence?
500 feet. This is how far you have to be away from a residence to be able to hunt.
So 150 yards.
Yeah. So we bust out the Onyx on a pretty regular basis just to make sure that we're legal.
What's crazy about up there too is there's houses everywhere. They don't have big tracts of land that just there's nothing there.
There is, but there's not. So yeah, personally, our season opens like October 15th in the central zone. And then the coastal opens for like 1 week. I don't hunt the coastal early season. It's just, a lot of the ducks haven't pushed in, like the mallards, black ducks, et cetera. So I'll hunt inland, which is a lot of wood ducks, a whole lot of wood ducks, teal, mallards. But when you're hunting inland, you're hunting a river or a pond or whatever. Yeah. There could be houses. You can hear a guy mowing his lawn while you're duck hunting, or you can, I have a story for you. I was sorry, Jeff, you always ask, what's the craziest thing that's happened in the woods? And I'll tell you my story about craziest things later on what's happened in the woods. But yeah, it's hard trying to function around all the humanity. I think it's the fourth largest, most densely populated state in the country.
Massachusetts is?
Massachusetts, yeah.
Yeah, you got people living on top of each other.
But technically, no. Like where I live in North Andover, I'm on like two, maybe a little over 2 acres. So everyone in my area that I'm in, my subdivision, everyone's on 2 acres plus. So there's a lot of trees. Like it's great. Maple trees, oak trees. It's peaceful.
Yeah, but Boston's got 2 million people living in the area of about Denton, Texas.
Yeah, true, but that's Boston, so it's different. It's the same thing as like living in downtown Houston or downtown Dallas.
But that's why it's so densely populated a deal, because once you get out, like what's the Basketball Hall of Fame? Springfield, Mass.
Springfield,
yeah, beautiful out there. That's you can't tell where you're at from there or anywhere in Vermont or New Hampshire. Everything's spread out and stuff. But I love Boston. It's probably my favorite city in America. I've always thought that the Cape, what's the town with all the gay people? Provincetown. That's got to be some damn good sea duck hunting out there.
So technically, I think there's I've hunted at the elbow, like Chatham area
Yes.
and East Harwich, that area where it's kind of the elbow on multiple occasions, but I've never ventured really far. I think Provincetown actually has and I don't hold me to this because I don't hunt that area, but I think there's some restrictions. Like Massachusetts is weird. There's some discharge laws and some hunting laws that the towns can implement at times where it basically doesn't allow you to hunt in the area.
I could see where Provincetown would be very liberal, but
yeah, I can see that.
But it's a cool place. Have you been there yet, Andy?
No, I don't believe so.
It's a it's a cool place. It's the very end of the Cape. Chatham, that's where all the damn great whites are, where they come in by the Coast Guard deal there. So there's no way I'm hunting in the water right there.
It's crazy because the Ducks Unlimited, one of our policy guys does a hunt down there every year, and has invited me a couple of times when I was state chairman with Ducks Unlimited. He would come in from DC and do a hunt, invite some local people, politicians, et cetera. So we would go down there and hunt. And the only place I've ever done this in Mass, but you hunt on the beach. You literally take the boat out and you hunt on the beach. They put the decoys out, and it's a comfortable hunt because you're not in a boat bouncing up and down. You're not in a layout boat. And praying for your life, but it's fun. But you'll see people walking their dogs, behind you or across the way. And it's just strange.
That's the place where all the seals.
Yeah, I've seen videos.
I thought we went there when we went.
I don't know, Jeff.
They got the seals. They got signs up on the deal that'll be like, "Do not let your kids swim in the deal. It's a danger. Great white sharks." And there'll be a seal on the bank that's all mutilated by sharks, and kids are swimming right around them. I'm like, yeah, and you wonder why your kid gets ate up by a shark.
So, like traveling with Jeff anywhere, you get to see everything, but you see it for 5 minutes. So it all just runs together. So like he's asking me if we've been to this, and I'm like, maybe, I don't know, like. I saw everything when I was there, but saw it for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we were back in the car.
Well, ain't no sense to dilly-dally around. I mean,
I guess not.
New Englanders go two ways. So you either go north up into New Hampshire or Maine, or you go south to the Cape.
Right.
So it's kind of, Boston splits up and down. We do not vacation on the Cape. I mean, it's a pain in the ass to get there. It's a pain in the ass to get across the bridge. We had a house up in Maine. We recently sold it because we weren't using it because we have 4 kids that are in sports and school activities, et cetera. But Maine is, for me, if you're going to vacation anywhere, Maine's the place to do it.
I like north of Boston a lot more than south. We stayed on the Cape one time. Me and Michelle stayed at Dennisport. And it was neat because we stayed there and it was interesting to be there. But I like Maine a lot more. I like from Rye, New Hampshire north a lot more than I do from Boston south.
Yeah, I could shout out to my buddies at TDB down in Dennis. You were there right by them. It's the duck boat company. They make a sea duck hunting boat. Good guys.
Now Tucker Carlson, I think, is he in Maine? Is that where he's at? Because he does a lot of pheasant hunting also.
He does a lot. I think he does grouse.
Grouse.
Because there's no native pheasants up there. So it's grouse and woodcock. I think he does grouse and woodcock up there. But I think he's further north. The upland hunting gets better the further north you go, up into Maine and New Hampshire.
Right. So how far is that, like, to get into, like, good grouse hunting and good upland hunting? How far was that from your house in Maine?
Not that far. Probably an hour to probably 2 hours. I could get into some decent grouse hunting. I've woodcocked hunted in Mass, but I've never gone up to Maine to grouse hunt and do anything up there. I've always tried to do it. The problem is it's getting crazy expensive. I have a lab that I use for bird hunting. But to go up there and like get a guide and stay in the lodge and stuff, it's awfully expensive. And so to convince a couple of buddies to go spend a couple of grand for, 2-3 days to do it, it's hard to do. But yeah, I'd like to get up there and see it at least and do it once.
You talked about the native pheasants. Pheasants are not native to America.
No, they're not.
I watched a movie recently and the Indians were there before the white man and it showed them chasing down pheasants. I thought there wasn't even pheasants until 1833.
They released them in Oregon.
Yeah. Oregon, and then they come across from Oregon, yeah.
What were they, like a Japanese or a Chinese bird?
Chinese bird.
So I refuse to do it. My friends try to talk me into it, but they do pheasant releases here in Massachusetts. So they have these wildlife management areas that they'll go out and they'll release pheasants. They won't tell you where they're releasing them, but they'll just kind of get on a different pattern, every couple of days and release these pheasants. My buddy's like, oh, let's go hunt pheasants. I'm like, I'm not going to hunt a pen raised pheasant. This is just not up my alley.
Is their population, like the pheasants that they release, are they making it from year to year, or are they pretty well just got to restock every year?
No.
Probably
coyotes will get them, or the cold will get them, or something. I mean, they have to release them.
we've been doing pheasant hunts
Winter's
here
too
for
harsh.
30 years, and a couple of years ago we had a wet spring, and we actually had some baby pheasants. That's the first time we've seen baby pheasants here ever. And now,
Well, north of you in the Panhandle, they've got them.
Yes.
So it's not that far.
no, but there's something about the humidity, the chiggers, or something. There's the reason that they don't make it here. And I don't know what it is. I was thinking, well, at Maine, it could be because of the wintertime, but shit, they survive North Dakota.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just as cold and miserable as Maine is in the wintertime.
And no cover either. So I don't know. It's weird. I mean, there's places like Ohio that used to have really big wild pheasant populations that don't have them anymore. I mean, it's been kind of centered Kansas, Nebraska. I lived in Nebraska for like 3 years out of college. That was great. I mean, I could, the public land all over the place. You just walk in and go hunting.
You know, you know where there's a big influx of public pheasant hunting, or not? You can't hunt them, but they're there. Is the city of Detroit.
No, because all the reclaim of land.
Yes, all the neighborhoods, they've got pheasants everywhere there that are living in town now, and they've just taken over neighborhoods.
I did not know that.
Different kind of gunshots now.
Yeah, no shit.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
All lead though.
yeah, yeah. Lead shot for sure there.
Yeah.
Too funny.
So walk us through a morning in public marsh in Massachusetts. How far are you driving? What time you got to be at the boat dock? What's for breakfast?
Yeah, sure. No, so I usually no breakfast. I'll coffee. Got to have the coffee and the big jug of coffee the Yeti full of coffee to take with me.
Dunkin' Donuts, right?
No, I hate Dunkin' Donuts. That's terrible. But it's I'm not a native. I don't get dunks. So a normal morning, I hunt a lot during the week. I hate hunting Saturdays, and I'm definitely gonna not hunt Sundays now that it's available. You get a lot of yahoos that get out there that don't really know what they're doing. I have a duck boat. I have an Avid, 16-foot Commander with a Yamaha on it. I had a Go Devil with a mud motor. You should see people's faces when I used to pull the mud motor out, and they're like, "What the hell is that thing?" They're like, "Is that an outboard?" It got a lot of looks at the boat ramp or driving down the road. So normal morning, early season would be probably to go hunt a river. I like to use the boat. I like the boat rides. I like taking the dog. I like trying to get away from people. There's a lot of walk-in hunting in Massachusetts. There's a lot of wildlife management areas. You can walk in, hunt a pond, hunt maybe a creek out of a river. So I try to get in the boat and get to places that potentially you can't walk to, or it's a little harder to walk to. So early season, which starts like mid-October, outside of opening weekend, if I'm in town, it seems like I always have a meeting I have to go to, et cetera, on open weekend. I've missed the last couple. But if you're going, I would say get to the boat ramp by at least 3 a.m. on opening morning. And there's guys that'll be camped out there. Another guy from Texas that lives in New Hampshire, Colton, a friend of mine, him and his buddies camp out every year at the same boat ramp. They do, barbecue, and then they go out at, 2, 3 in the morning and stake out their spots on this particular river. But outside of that, you can get there normal time. I try to get to the boat ramp about an hour before shooting time, and then you can get out and set up. During the week, you're not seeing near as many people out there. But if you're going to go on a weekend, or maybe the first couple of weekends, you might have to get there a little bit earlier.
So that's not too terrible. An hour before is not too bad.
What kind of decoys how many decoys you putting out?
So once again, I'll split this between coastal and inland. So inland, it's kind of like mossy oak bottomland versus mossy oak shadowgrass.
Yeah.
It's like two different lives. I have different waders in the garage for this. So early seasons, mostly, put up a panel blind or stand next to oak trees and put out a handful of decoys. I mean, you're never seeing massive numbers of ducks in Massachusetts. The only time you're going to put out a bunch of decoys is sea duck hunting. You may put out, 4 dozen, 5 dozen. But, when you're hunting inland, my inland rig is like, I think it's 8 mallards with a couple of spinning wing mojos that are floaters, and maybe some teal and some wood ducks mixed in, but just a handful of those. So not a big spread at all. Probably, max 14, 16 ducks that I'm putting out. So it's not a massive spread at all. And it actually gets even smaller when I go hunt the coast. But inland it's tough. I mean, we can have days. I mean, I've had days where, you shoot a limit of ducks. It doesn't happen, honestly, in Massachusetts very often, but there's days where you can shoot 3, 4 pretty consistently. But they're going to be teal, wood duck, mallards, the occasional black duck early season, but you don't see them a whole lot. Black ducks are mostly on the coast. And then later in the season, you'll see some black ducks when some stuff starts freezing up. But no, I mean, it's the way I hunt during the week, and I probably shouldn't say this, there's way less pressure on the ducks. But as you get to coastal season, things definitely change and it gets a lot more competitive.
I kind of like that Sunday off to like you said, it kind of gives the birds a break and everything just kind of has a chance to reset. Because that's the common theme that we talk about with most people is like, it's just birds have no chance to rest anymore, especially with,
Well, I would pick a Wednesday.
So I was talking to my wife about this and I was like, you know what? I was like, how am I going to do this? Because usually I would, the way my job works, I cover half the country and I'm traveling all the time. I can usually be in the office on a Monday. I could be in the office on a Friday, and then I travel kind of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go into Florida or Minnesota or wherever the hell I have to go. So on a Monday morning, I can go out early in the morning, especially early season, get a hunt in and be back in the office in time, 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, well, shit, when am I going to hunt? So my thoughts now are let Monday be the rest day. Cause I think a lot of people probably are, if they're hunting Sunday, aren't going to hunt Monday. So I think Monday is probably going to be the new rest day and I'll have to hunt Tuesday, but we'll see how everything shakes out. But I'm just, Massachusetts are so, especially early season when it's inland, there's so few spots that actually hold ducks consistently. I think it's just going to get hammered. And these ducks are going to go to small water that nobody's going to be able to find them, or on private land in a small creek, or they're going to set up in a pond right behiand someone's house. Right. And they're not going to get disturbed.
So how long does it take for the birds to figure out where they're safe? Like you said, like there's houses that you have to be so far away from houses. Like, do birds find out like, okay, we're good here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you'll drive around to some of these towns. I mean, Massachusetts is strange. We have lakes that are the water source for certain towns, and they don't even let you go on a boat to fish. Like not even a canoe. You can't even go onto. It's like no touching that water. And sometimes you'll drive by these towns and you'll see ducks all over the water. In the town that I live in, we have a 550-acre lake, Lake Kachikawick. Say that one twice, Jeff.
There's no way.
And it's a great fishing lake. I mean, I've caught about a 7.5 pound bass out there. You should probably edit that one out so people don't go. But it's a great fishing lake. But I'll drive by it all winter and I'll see ducks out there. And there's houses around it, and you can fish on. You can't put kayaks, canoes, etc. But you can't hunt it. It's not allowed, in the town to be able to hunt it. And there's a watershed right next to it as well that holds ducks, and you can't hunt that. So you see that quite often. Inland for me, it's tough. You find a spot and you hope nobody else finds it. And you hope that it just doesn't get hammered. I had one spot that I hunted, quite a bit on a river with a lot of different kind of oxbows and marshes off of it. And it's just now, I mean, you show up and I went one time this year and I went on Veterans Day with my buddy who's actually from Tennessee. And he's a veteran and went to VMI, and, he was shooting. I was just there for the breakfast and the camaraderie. And, there were probably 8 boats out there, but we had people set up, 50 yards behind us. It was crazy. And it's just, there's not a whole lot of decorum sometimes with people that don't hunt consistently and haven't hunted a lot. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge. So I've kind of stayed away from that area. I found another area that honestly, every time I went, I was the only person there. It was crazy. Hopefully nobody shows up next year.
We'll call it Lake Winnipesaukee.
Well, you said that on a podcast the other day and I was laughing. I was like, because you couldn't come up with the name. I was like, it's Winnipesaukee. I'm like saying it to myself. And then finally you got it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was. Oh, what about Bob?
I said it.
Later, Andy. It don't count.
No, I said it right away.
No, you did.
I was right.
So what about
You're right.
Canada geese? There's Canada geese everywhere up there, local birds. Do you kill a lot of
local birds? Yeah. Golf course geese. So I shot 4, I think, last year, and I do not target Canada geese. And really, on public land, it's hard to target them. There are some, cornfields, et cetera, where people will target the Canada geese. I am not. There's an early season. There's a late season. It's not really for me. I'll tell on myself here. One of my buddies, Mike Donnelly, who's like 71, 72 years old, true Massachusetts, masshole. And he was like, you want to shoot, some geese on a golf course? I'm like, sure, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
So he took me out this year and we shot a couple of geese off a golf course. But other than that, I can't think of a time where I targeted Canada geese. They're all around. So I'm a big coastal guy and they're on the coast all the time, but they know exactly where they want to go. They know where they're safe. They get up, they fly high over you, and then they drop down where they want to go. And they're really never, I shouldn't say never, but a lot of times they're not low enough to even take a passing shot at.
What hole
They don't
did
do
y'all?
worth a shit.
What hole did y'all set up on the golf course?
I don't even remember. It was just a short. We took the golf cart actually to the hole, and with our decoys strapped to the back of it. So
How do
I
you
felt
get?
slightly guilty, but not that guilty.
What do? You just talk to the golf course superintendent and like, hey,
They hate them.
right?
No, they hate him. So he told me, I was like, okay, like the first thing I asked was like, do they know we're coming?
Right,
Like,
yeah,
they
yeah,
actually know we're going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, and so he was like, oh yeah, I've had a relationship with these people. Believe it or not, he met him at a DU dinner, the guy who owned the golf course at the time. I think it's changed hands a couple times, but they love it. They're like, oh no, they're all setting up on like, hole 7 or hole 9 or whatever else. Oh, go over there, check them out. And so, he gets the scouting report from the grounds crew, and so he'll go out a couple times a year and shoot some of the geese for him. It's actually, I think, 2 golf courses he's got permission on.
We have a buddy of ours
badass.
in Ohio, and he got invited on one of these early season hunts.
Yeah.
And he said they go to this golf course, and he said like 15 guys get invited, and everybody brings their decoys. He said, we're hunting a flock of 60 resident geese that are there every day, and we've got 300 decoys put out now. And he said, the old geese, he said they were confused as shit.
9 callers, and you know what I mean?
Like, who the hell come in our neighborhood like this?
Right. Is there a cold front we didn't know about?
I'm not a big Canada goose fan. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'll shoot them if they come in low enough. I shoot a handful of them a year, but it's not something I target. Like I said, I'm pretty much a coastal purist, and I'm targeting black ducks 99% of the time.
What about Brant geese? Do you see any of them along the coast?
So brand are way more prevalent on the South Shore, like Plymouth, Boston Harbor as well, down to the Cape. There's a lot down there. Believe it or not, it's one of those things. Of all the sea waterfowl, that's the one I have not shot. I've seen them, but they've never really been in range. But it's just not something that I've had the opportunity to shoot. But yes, there are brand around. Apparently, the numbers over the last couple of years have been down a little bit, but no, people are definitely still shooting them.
That's something I've never shot. We've shot them here. I've never shot one, but we had.
You have one get mixed in with a flock of geese.
We used to kill one every 2 or 3. Well, about every year or two, we'd shoot one. I mean, not very many. You'd kill one here and there, and somebody killed one last year in our area, and I can't remember who it was. They saw it. Maybe Mags did, but they shot a brant. Somebody last year told me they shot a brant, and I couldn't remember who it was. But it's not unusual. I mean, if my guy come in and said we killed a brant, I wouldn't be surprised at all. It's just
they get confused. I had a buddy. I mean, this is not quite as obviously crazy, but my buddy this year sent me a picture. He thought he had a pair of black ducks that came in, and the son was like, no, one of them was an eider. They shot both of them. The dog went out and retrieved them. One was an eider, one was a black duck.
Oh shit!
And they were flying together, just like totally opposite sides of the big sea duck versus the big New England puddle duck, and then they're flying together like a pair. I'm like, okay, well, teach their own. If you want to hook up with an eider or hook up with a black duck, go for it.
Somebody on the East Coast shot some gray lags last year, I read, and I can't remember where it was at. Which
I
would
didn't
be,
see that.
It basically looks just like a speckle belly, I think.
Man, I wish
I think they do.
I wish the eider and the black duck could have mated. That would have been an interesting little duckling.
That's a duck DNA one you got to send in on that.
Yeah,
one.
that would be something. That would be something right there. So when's your peak time?
So for me, I like coastal. So coastal opens up. It's either Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving. I can't even remember what it was last year, but I do not get to hunt that time because my wife is very adamant that the day after Thanksgiving, I got to get the Christmas tree. We got to decorate it with the family. So it usually is a couple of days after Thanksgiving that I get to go hunt.
It sounds like a miserable day.
Oh, we started with like 1 tree. Now it's 2 trees. Now the kids all have trees in their rooms. It's crazy.
I hate Christmas lights more than and I'm not going to lie. Michelle puts it all up. I hate it. I hate picking it up a little bit and stuff. There's nothing worse than a swimming pool and Christmas lights. So anybody that's getting married, don't nip it in the bud real quick before you get married. Just go be against both of those. Trust me, when you get to be an old man, you'll be happy you did it.
My dad used to say, Kevin, get your fat ass up on the roof, put the lights up there. And I would be up on the roof, putting lights on. My dad was like diehard. Every bush, every tree, the house. I don't put them up. I put some wreaths on the windows and I put spotlights up on them, just like minimalist. Looks very classy. My wife and the kids are always like, "Oh, get on the house! Like, get to do this." I'm like, "We have like a 3-story house. Like, I'm not going to get on this thing and kill myself to put up stupid Christmas lights."
Amen, brother.
I hate Christmas lights. My kids love them. I've started dabbling in the Christmas lights. Just put them in bushes. But I hate them. I absolutely hate Christmas lights.
Yeah, it's the wrong time of year for me anyways. I absolutely despise them. So you sound like the perfect day, though. When I think of waterfowl hunting, that in the picture in my mind is a fire going in New England, looking out over the bay, cold, overcast still, putting Christmas lights on. That seems like the perfect when you're a kid growing up and you're reading like Field and Stream and the magazines I would read. That was my life I wanted. Was that day right there, except for putting the Christmas lights up. But just that whole ambiance is the perfect day.
Cold, yes. Inland water frozen, yes. Tides right. So it's one of the things that I have in my phone, because I was talking to someone one time. They're like, what are all the factors you have to deal with on the coast? Well, when I first started, waterfowl hunting in Massachusetts, I had no idea. My ass from my elbow. I had to deal with the tides, et cetera. I didn't know what a tide chart was really. And so I would go out in a kayak that I'd bought and try to hunt on the ocean. I had Texas rig decoys. I throw them out. Next thing I know, they're floating away. And the next thing I know, I'm underwater. And I'm like, what in the hell? So all of a sudden, you start learning. And I did all this on my own. I didn't, go with anyone. No one showed me the way. I just had to learn it. And so you learn the hard way. I had decoys that I lost that floated away. Finally, I was like, okay, I got to get rid of this boat. Kayak, got to get a boat. And so it's a complicated scenario on the coast, because you got to think about the timing of the tides, when the high tide's coming, where the ducks are going to be at high tide, where the ducks are going to be at low tide, what's the temperature, is it below freezing, is it above freezing, which way's the wind coming in, if you're hunting in the afternoon versus the morning, where's the sun going to be? It's a complicated freaking algorithm to be able to hunt effectively on the coast. And after all these years, I finally kind of, by no means am I going to say perfected it, but I finally kind of figured out a scenario here. So you were close, Jeff, on the cold with the fire and all that, but you don't want overcast. So I think bright sunny days on the coast are probably way better hunting days than overcast. And for me, I always tend to hunt a rising tide. And the reason I hunt a rising tide is because the creeks that I hunt in, I'll go to a creek and there may be almost no water in that creek when I get there on the coast, in the coastal marsh. And we have like 25,000 acres that are coastal marsh. It's not all huntable coastal marsh, but there's like 25,000 acres from Gloucester, Rockport area, all the way up to, the New Hampshire border. So for me, I take the boat in really skinny water with a jack plate all the way up and then set out decoys. And you asked about decoys earlier. I have handmade carved decoys by my buddy down in Connecticut, Bill Imbacher. They're all black duck. That's the only thing that I'll hunt over on the coast is black duck decoys. I put somewhere between 6 to 8 decoys out early season, probably. I may even put 4 decoys out. But I always, people are kind of hit or miss with spinners. I have some black duck spinning decoys from Lucky Duck. And I will put one of those out. And I don't think that the spinning wing decoy actually attracts them to you. I don't think they actually come just for the spinning wing. I think what it does is just signals, hey, there's birds over here. Mm-hmm. And then they come and they look at your spread. But it's small spreads. It's bright, sunny days. It's finding a way to set up the blind where you are completely conspicuous. Because black ducks, if there's anything out of the norm, the dog is moving. If they can, see your sunglasses shining, if they see anything, they're extremely weary ducks.
And I didn't know that.
That marsh area, is that like around the Hampton Beach area?
Yeah, no, south of there. Yeah. That's, there's some up there, but it gets really big. Salisbury, Parker River Wildlife Refuge, all the way through Ipswich, Essex. It goes all the way down, all the way to like the Gloucester.
But that's the marshy areas that you're hunting over that way. Is where you're in the coastal inland.
I mean, to put it in perspective, the tide swings up here are like 8 to 10 feet. So, you can go out to the marsh. It'll be, all these creeks with barely any water in them. And then, 6 hours later, the marsh is completely gone and it looks like wide open ocean on a super tide. So in those situations, you've got to get as far up into the marsh as you possibly can and still be able to hunt without hunting in someone's backyard. So because there's houses usually, as you know, on the Massachusetts coast up and down. But it's tough. I mean, those creek systems, you got to worry about the wind as well. Sometimes you'll have a hole in the creek where the ducks are going, and then the next day the wind goes from 5 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour sustained, and then all of a sudden they're 600 yards away and they're in a little bitty tiny creek and they're tucked in, and you just have to think about these things when you're hunting on the coast.
So why do you like the hunt a rising tide?
So the ducks are out on these mud flats, which are kind of out in the middle of the water, and you can't really hunt them. It's really hard to get there and be able. They used to use sneak boats. They would go in and they have these. You've probably seen them, like long, narrow sneak boats, and they would hit a single oar in the back that they would use to navigate out. And then they would almost jump shoot these birds. They would get close enough. They would paint them white so it looked like almost like an iceberg coming up to them. And then they would, one person is shooting, the other person is manning the boat, and then you would pop up and shoot them. So the reason I hunt a rising tide is because the water gets high enough, it pushes them off of that mud flat, and then they go up deeper into the marsh to find shallower water. I
gotcha. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
See, just my Texas brain, I was like, you would want to hunt a low tide, but that is not the case.
I mean, there are places where you can hunt. I have buddies that will hunt low tides in the creeks because sometimes they will, some of the creeks will have just a little bit of water in them, but it's more of a walk-in. I mean, you have to be careful with. The reason I had a Go Devil, my southern brain said, "Well, I see these guys going through the swamp, going through the mud. I know the tide gets really low in Massachusetts, and nobody was using a mud motor. The problem is I bought one that was not fuel injected, and so when it was cold, it was a hell of a time, keeping the thing started." It ran great. I mean, it was awesome, but I got so sick and tired of it, the reliability. I ended up trading that boat off or selling the boat and getting a Yamaha. Everybody up here runs Yamaha motors just because they're extremely reliable.
Yeah.
When it's negative 8 and you're hunting out there, you want a boat that's going to start and get you in.
Well, that's no shit.
That damn tide deal, that's interesting.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
It's a pain in the ass. I mean, there's so many things you have to think about with the tide, because then it's like, okay, my decoys are going to float this way, and then when the tide changes, it's going to float that way. And then, this year we had a super high tide. The boat came up, and the next thing I know, I walk over, the boat's sitting on top of the marsh. So we had to go over, push the boat back into the water.
Can you imagine the poor son of a bitch that gets stranded out there? You know what happens all the time. Not paying attention.
No, if you're an idiot, you can get stranded. There was on the news one day, I was watching, I was laughing my ass off. These hunters went out, and it's how embarrassing this must have been for them. Supposedly one of them might've been a guide. But they're in a center console of all things, but they had it on the news. They're like 3 hunters rescued, and down at Cape Cod, and it shows them like getting airlifted out of there. I'm like, oh my God, I would be so fucking embarrassed if I got airlifted out of the marsh. Like I would lose my dude card immediately with all my buddies.
Did you see the dipshit that the Coast Guard had to rescue his snowmobile on the ice deal up in, I think it was around Mackinac Island. He was out snowmobiling and got some ice broke off, and it showed his damn snowmobile floating out in the middle of the ocean, or the Great Lakes, or somewhere. It had to be Great Lakes. And showed him having to winch his damn snowmobile up before it fell in.
It's one thing to get rescued. It's another thing to get airlifted out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Or that's embarrassing. All you have to do is wait. I mean, honestly, all they had to do was wait. And if they wait, the tide's coming back. It comes back every 6 hours. It's like up and down and up and down. So
it's a 6-hour swing is what it is?
It's a tide swing. Yeah, it's the moon pulling. And so.
But I mean, every 6 hours, it's going to go up and down.
Yes, it goes up and down.
That area where you're talking about, I've drove through there 100 different times. Matter of fact, Michelle's favorite place to eat is some damn bait shop that sells clams, fried clams, right by that Hampton Beach. It's a red building on the left side of the road, right by the ocean.
Trying to remember.
There's a boat dock there, and then you go past the boat dock, and it's on the left. It's right before you get by all the big ass homes going into Rye.
Yeah, no. I don't go up to that area a lot. I don't hunt up there, and I don't really go there. I know what you're talking about though. But there's some great. I mean, they call it the Clam Highway. It's like Route 1 that goes along the coast, and there's a bunch. Ipswich is really known. There's the clam box in Ipswich, which I like and I go to. But there's a bunch of different clam spots that are up there. So they're great. The fried clams are awesome.
Yeah, Bob's Clam Shack in Kittery is damn good.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's Bob's in Kittery.
Yeah, that's
right next to Kittery Trading Post.
Yep.
Man, let me tell you, if you're going to New England for a cheap lobster roll, think again.
Yeah, it ain't cheap.
No. I make my own at home. I can't spend $30. I'll buy the lobsters, steam them, clean them. I can clean them in a hurry, and I'll just do them in the propane, steamer, and it's quick and easy to do your own. The only thing to wait on is you got to cool it off. You cool unless you want it hot.
Do you like them hot or cold?
Both. It really depends. Sometimes I'll do a warm one with butter, but a lot of times I'll go traditional. With a little Old Bay, a little bit of mayonnaise. I don't like a lot of mayonnaise. A little bit of mayonnaise, some lemon juice. Let it chill, and then put it on. You got to do the traditional New England hot dog bun, where you butter it up and then put it on the griddle and char it a little bit, and then load it up. I'm not a lettuce guy. I'm not a celery guy. I like much more of a purist.
See, I like the warm, but I also don't like you said, I don't like the lettuce. I don't like the celery and all that other shit. And anytime
it's all filler. I mean, they do it in the restaurant. They charge you, 35, 40 bucks, and they put this filler in there.
Yeah. So anytime you order a cold lobster roll at a restaurant, you got all this shit on there. The way you just described it, I could do a cold lobster roll. That sounds way more appealing. So I just always go hot because it doesn't have all that extra shit on it.
Yeah. No. The hot butter though. I mean, how do you go wrong? I mean, that's if I'm going to eat a lobster, I'd rather do it, freshly cooked, cracking it open and dipping it in hot butter.
The best lobster roll I've ever had is at Red's, and it's somewhere by Bar Harbor, and I can't remember which town it's on.
No, yeah, it's Red's is it's Wichasset.
Yes, that's it. That's how you say it. Wichasset or something. Yes, that's.
I'm here to translate for you, Jeff.
Yep. Well, how did you say it? How do you say it?
I think it's Wichasset.
Yes, but that's
Wichasset, Maine. I think so.
Yeah, that's the place. They got the best lobster roll I've ever had right there, and I've had a lot of them along the coast. But yeah, when you go there and you think you're gonna, we took some couples with us last year. One of the couples had never been up there before, and they're like, "God damn, it's $30. Same in Texas, just about for a lobster roll."
Right.
So yeah, they ain't nothing cheap. It's not like they're $10 a piece.
No, you can get lobster. I mean, depending on how much inventory they have. Even at the grocery store, sometimes, it could be even, I've seen it like $7.99, $9.99 per pound, and you buy them and you steam them, you do it yourself. It's way more economical.
Yeah, they're good. Damn, that's a good eating.
They're great.
The food up there is I love coon-ass food, but man, the Northeast with the chowders and the lobster and stuff. But I eat so much lobster.
The seafood up here is fantastic.
Yes.
But I won't, after I leave there, I'm going to eat lobster again for 6 more months because I eat so much of it while I'm up there. Boy, I sure do.
You got to
love
gorge yourself.
Oh, yeah, but you get sick of it after you've eaten it 3 or 4 days in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got to mix it up. Get some fish, get some fried oyster or some fried clams.
I like the clams. I'm not a fried oyster guy.
So New England gets a bad rap. I mean, it really I'm a diehard Texan. I'm 4th generation Texan. My son is 5th generation Texan, my oldest son. And my buddies are like, well, what in the hell are you doing in New England? And people don't understand. Like, it's number one, it's beautiful, it's quaint. I mean, it's you've got the ocean, you've got beautiful lakes up in Maine that are crystal clear. Fishing's great. The hunting is actually, the waterfowl hunting. It's not Arkansas, but you can go out and scratch off almost a limit of birds if you really try hard. You know what you're doing. I mean, you got mountains, you got skiing, you got boating. I mean, it's honestly, I won't go to a lake in Texas again after having a house at a lake in Maine. Yeah. I mean, the lakes are just crystal clear and beautiful.
What's funny is you always hear about the Indian battles in the Midwest. Fucking Indians should let them have this shit and been fighting over the shit in the Northeast.
Yeah, no, you got the hardwoods. I mean, it definitely, you look at Knox City and then you look at a small town in New England. They look a little different.
That's like a 10 at Ole Miss compared to a 2 at University of Minnesota. It ain't no comparison. So what do you, Mexican food is the best thing in Texas. Andy does not like Mexican food. I love Mexican food.
I do not like Mexican food.
But I have noticed in the last 10 years, you can really get good Mexican food everywhere now. You used to not be able to. You used to have to be in Texas or the Southwest to get good Mexican food. Now you can get it everywhere. What do you miss about Texas? Is Mexican food one of them?
A little bit. So my wife, believe it or not, she lived in Texas after college and became a diehard Mexican food fan. And my stepson loves Mexican food as well. My other kids like it, but I wouldn't say they love it as much as those two. We have a place here in town that we go to called Casablanca. It's good. It's actually not bad. I mean, it's owned by, I would say Mexican. I don't know. I mean, they could be Guatemalan for all I know, but it's owned by, a Hispanic family. And they actually do pretty good. It's not bad. It's not bad Mexican food at all. The chips and salsa are good. fajitas, etc. I mean, it's not bad. What I miss the most and what I'll gorge myself on when I go home, even though I'm a true Texan, I have a big, offset smoker that I have out back that, I'll cook briskets and pork butt and sausage and everything else on. But a barbecue, when I come home, I've got to gorge myself on barbecue. That's what I miss the most.
I do love me some barbecue.
I'd rather have Mexican food.
Not me, man. It's just, I don't.
How do you beat Panther City in Fort Worth? I mean, I grew up on Angelo's, but Angelo's just not what it used to be. Panther City, Roy Hutchins. I mean, God, there's so much good barbecue in Texas.
See, I'm not a barbecue guy. I'm
one thing he doesn't like. I don't know why.
It's barbecued. Somebody's like, that barbecue's not good. Oh, that's great barbecue. I don't see, there's not much difference.
Oh, there's difference.
I've had blacks. I've had all of them. And
when have you had blacks?
When we was down in the hill country, me and Mom, I've eaten there. So kiss my ass there. You didn't think I'd been there.
Prices, blacks, all those down there.
The other day we ate at, what's the one in Allen's in Abilene? Joe Allen's.
Oh yeah.
And had there the other day, and it's food. It's just not that. I'm just not a big barbecue guy. And I can tell you right now, the Rendezvous in Memphis is the most overrated barbecue spot.
Oh, I wouldn't eat barbecue in Memphis. Like that doesn't even sound appealing.
And
Speaking of Memphis, I scheduled a business trip. Hopefully my boss doesn't listen to this, but I scheduled a business trip to go meet with a doctor in Memphis just so I could go to Shin and buy waiters.
That's badass.
When are you doing that? When are you doing that? Are you going to come during the Ducks at the DU Deal Festival too?
I was going to go last year. So I told you guys I was previously state chairman for Ducks Unlimited Mass. I had to step down. My wife had some health issues, and she's all better now. But she had some health issues, so I stepped down. I was going to go last year. I went to Ducks, when it was at Texas Motor Speedway, which wasn't great. I mean, it was fine, but it wasn't. I think it's much better now, from what I hear.
Oh, It was amazing. Do you remember how hot it was at Texas Motor Speedway?
Oh, it was horrible.
Well, it was the complete opposite of that at Memphis last year. It was freezing cold. David and them had that air conditioner set on 42, I think. I don't think it ever saw 70 degrees in that building. They were selling coffee. They were selling hoodies. I mean, it was duck hunting weather almost.
My plan is to go. I mean, so last year that was my plan to go. But we'll see, with 4 kids and, one in Texas, my son in Texas really wanted to go last year, but obviously my wife is having some surgery, so we couldn't make it work, but hopefully this year. I mean, I'd like to get to DU headquarters. Actually, I've never been there, and then go to the pyramid, to see the museum, and then go to Ducks.
The museum is absolutely amazing. That was my favorite part of the whole trip. I love that, which I like a lot of history, and there's a lot of history there. I think a guy from Massachusetts is part of that donated a bunch of stuff that was there. I think he was an East Coast guy.
Yeah, no, Massachusetts has got a huge waterfowl tradition.
Yes.
I mean, there's massive waterfowl tradition. If you can't see it from this angle, but my office, there's hardly a spot in it that doesn't have a decoy, and 99% of those decoys are black duck decoys. They're all, you see the black ducks above me.
Yeah.
But I mean, the goose I shot with you guys a couple of years ago is across the way. But no, I'm really into the traditional. I only hunt cork decoys on the coast, handmade cork decoys. And so in my office, I have cork, I have, balsa, pine, you name it, all different kinds of, but they're all handmade, decoys. And, I'll see them in antique shops, or I'll buy them off eBay, or, at auctions or whatever else. But it's a little bit of an obsession. I think I'm north of 100 decoys, black duck decoys now.
That's badass though. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, going back to like the original way of waterfowl hunting and old, hand carved, hand painted. That's badass that you stick to the heritage that way.
Yeah. Corey and them at Cedar Run, they've got a whole collection coming out now where they're going to have hand carved decoys. You're not having to pay the same price as you are for just they found a way to do them a little bit different. We're going to have him on, but we're going to talk about that, where people can start hunting over authentic blocks again, like they used to back in the day, instead of just plastic.
Corey's been great. So I have bought multiple decoys, especially through DU. So I've, we had the state chairman that was going out, and I was coming in, and we were having our Boston dinner. And so I reached out to those guys and said, hey, can you like laser engrave a black duck with his name on it, the dates that he was the state chairman? And they're like, yeah. And so I ended up buying a couple other decoys from. He gave me a Ducks Unlimited discount for the decoys. And, we auctioned a couple of them off, and then I gave, the commemorative decoy to the past state chairman for Massachusetts as well. So he's been awesome. 2-3 years in a row, we've ordered decoys from him.
Yeah, you can't beat Cedar Run.
So how long did it take you to like figure out your method to hunting in Massachusetts? Like when you finally figured out, all the variables that you got to go through on a daily basis, how long did you go just like banging your head against the wall?
So it's 2026. I got here in 2013. I'm still learning. I mean, even this past year, I 2 years ago, I was like, all right, I've got these like single solo panel blinds that I think are going to be, the bee's knees, and I'm going to use these. I'm going to dress them up, with all the marsh grass and put it out there. Or just look like a clump of grass. It stood up too high. I used them for like a year, and I wasn't, the birds were flaring. I didn't like it. I was using layout blinds before with varying degrees of success, and it was on me on how I was doing things. And then this year I had donated a hunt for DU to take somebody out in the Great Marsh and have them hunt. It was like a 2-day, 2-guy hunt. And so somebody bought it out of New York. Very nice guy and his son. They came up, and I was like, there's going to be 3 of us. I don't want 3 of these damn solo blinds popped up and sticking up. So I did layout blinds. I dressed the layout blinds really well, and we did layout blinds. I set it up to where the sun would be behind us. You couldn't see our faces. And I have kind of a hood on these things, and we did great. And birds were decoying like crazy. I'm like, okay, well, let me do it again. And so to answer your point, I'm always learning. You continually learn. I've come a long way, but there are times where I'm like, well, I should have set it up this way. I should have done that way. You're constantly learning, but it took me 10 years to kind of figure out. And I started from zero. I mean, I didn't really have anybody else to say, hey, you need to do it this way or that way. I just gradually learned. And then, a few people would say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? And then now, I kind of have the system that I have.
Yeah. What's the prevailing wind there? Is it mainly an east wind?
North. You have a north wind. And then we had a lot of east and southeast last year, if I remember correctly, but a lot of north and then east, southeast coming out of the east and southeast.
Yeah. Cause we never have an east wind here. It's mainly south, and then it varies if it's going to be how much west is going to be in it.
If we have east
and
wind,
then on
we're
days
getting
we
rain.
have front, and then the days that we have a front, we'll have a north wind, but most of the time you got a southwest wind. So early in the morning, you got the sun kind of in your face or on your blind, which
and that's the tough part of setting up. You have these creeks that meander through, and it could be good for the tide at the time, but it might not be good for just like you guys deal with varying fields. It could not be good for sun. So you got to deal with hey, how do I cover up my face in this? Or if you can get the sun at your back and the wind crossing your face, and you can set your decoys up. I usually try to put the 6 decoys. I put them out. I may put 1 to 2 to my right, but then the vast majority would be to my left with the mojo. And now everyone in New England is going to hear how I set things up. And then if the wind is right and you're set up correctly, they'll land right in front of you.
Yeah. How big? Like how close are you getting these ducks? Because how big is the water that you're hunting?
So it could be, it's funny because we measured it last year. I'm trying to remember. Some of them are 35 yards across, some are 50 yards across. I mean, and they go from, it's a lot smaller than that when there's no water, hardly any water. And then obviously the tide comes in, it gets a lot bigger. But some of them are small. I hunted one this year that, it must have been 25 yards across.
That's bad.
So I'm some of the guys I hunt with aren't quite as anal retentive as me. I like them feet down. Yeah. I really do. I hate pass shooting. I absolutely hate pass shooting on black ducks. The way I look at it is you got to do it right. You want to get feet down and you want to shoot them, I hate to say it, but in the face. Yeah. And it's better for the retrieve for the dog. I mean, if you start wing shooting ducks, and by no means am I saying I never wing shoot a duck and they don't fly off and die, across the way and have to, chase them down with a bow. But, I would rather have them in the kill hole, kill them, send the dog, if he doesn't break, little asshole, and then have him come back and retrieve. And that way, when you're dealing with cold water, he's in the water for a short period of time. You're not dealing with ice flows or any of that. So it's just in the water, out of the water, back in his blind, and it's quick and easy.
So when you're hunting marshes and the tide's coming in and out, do you have to deal with a whole lot of ice?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this past year, the last 3 days I hunted, the spot that I wanted to go to, we couldn't get to because the ice had closed up the creek. So it was open behind there, but it was closed up because all the ice flow, because the tide will come in, it'll drop all the ice off, the tide will come out, it'll just kind of drop down on the mud, and then the tide will come back in, and then more pieces of ice will come and block it off. So there's really, I mean, my boat will break a certain amount of ice, but I'm not going to, fight through 200 yards of ice. But this past season, as we were hunting, the tide was coming up and the ice kept coming in, and I'll be damned if, I think we shot a 2-man limit of black ducks, which is 4 ducks. It's 2 apiece. And I think 3 of the 4 landed on ice, like right in the middle of a big iceberg. And, Weller, who's my dog, he went over and just could not get on top of it to get the duck. And so I had to get the boat 3 times out of the 4 on those black ducks to go retrieve the duck.
I didn't know black ducks were so finicky.
Oh, dude, they're the most weary ducks. If you can, the way I look at it, if you can consistently decoy black ducks, you're doing something right.
Right. I just did not know that about them. I just kind of figured they were mostly like a mallard, and you can kind of trick most mallards with, you put enough spinners out there and you can at least entice them to come take a look. But I did not know that about black ducks.
So I don't, by the way, I leave my calls at home with black ducks. I'll call inland because it's mostly mallards, woodies, teal, etc. But when I hunt black ducks, I do not call at all. 0. No calling whatsoever. I read a couple of articles. You'd crank on the call and then they would go the other way. You're like, well, they didn't like us. They didn't like something. Well, they didn't like the fucking call. Huh. And so I don't call at all. Like I literally, we sit there as still as we possibly can. We're in the layout blinds, and we try to find clumps of grass that are thick enough where you can tuck the layout blinds kind of in between. And we just sit there as still as possible and just wait for the ducks to come in, and they'll sneak in on you. They do not. I tell people all the time, like, why don't you call? I'm like, how many black ducks do you hear calling out here?
Yeah.
Do you hear them quacking like crazy?
Right.
And they're like, you hear a quack and you look over, it's a mallard. I'm like, they just do not, they don't respond well to calling at all, in my opinion. And I think that's the majority of people's opinion.
So you told me earlier that you had a story about the weirdest shit you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
So this is New England duck hunting in a nutshell. So I found this new place. I'm like, let's try this new river. We've never hunted this river before, and it was early season. So starting October, this was probably maybe first week in November. And we get out there, we set up the decoys, and I was hunting out of my blind on my boat at that time. And so we pulled the boat up into kind of shallow water. We're in the boat blind, and all of a sudden my buddy's like, hey, he goes, what is that? And I was like, I don't know, but it's big. And so we're looking, and it's in the water. I'm like, is that a deer swimming? And he was like, no, I don't think so. He was like, what? He was like, that's really strange. All of a sudden we see it. It's a dude in a skull, and he's rowing down the river, and he rows right in front of us as we're duck hunting. And then he proceeds to do it like 8 more times, like back and forth in front of where we're duck hunting. And I'm like, this is New England duck hunting in a nutshell.
That's crazy. Just right in front of you.
Right in front of us. Just no total disregard, just back and forth.
He knew y'all were there?
No, we stood up. I was like, what do you think he would do if I just like let off a round?
Right.
Just as he's coming in, just let off 1 or 2 rounds.
Be calling the cops in.
So that happened like probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And then this past year, I shit you not, I hunted that river again further down in a different, maybe a different road, could be the same guy, but he was there again. And he actually, surprisingly, I think he helped us that day because I think he pushed the birds, and I think they came in because he had disrupted them.
Pushed a couple of ducks up. Do you have to deal with that a lot? Like people, like you have everything scattered out and then birds bust up? Or get pushed out of the area because of human interaction?
Oh yeah, no. So there's one, especially early season. There's one particular river I hunt. You not only have to deal with the duck hunters, but you have to deal with the fishermen. And there could be 8 boats out there fishing in this river, on a nice day in October. And then you have, the old ladies in their kayaks, and you've got just people out there in canoes goofing around. So it's crazy. I mean, New England, I always thought of hunting as like you go to Arkansas, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
You're hunting in a blind, or you're hunting West Texas on a pond in the middle of, 1,000 acres. Here you have to deal with humanity. I mean, it's constant. The coast, not so much. It's a big area. Like I said, it's like 25,000 acres. You don't have to deal with boaters out there because it's too cold at that time, or kayakers or anything else. But inland, any river you're on, There could be a rower. There could be a dude in a canoe or two old ladies in a kayak.
That is one thing about New England that I love. Like you drive through town, like everybody's outside. You know what I mean?
Oh, dude, if it's 45 degrees, it's like they're walking around in shorts and a crop top.
Yeah, like every time we go up there, I'm always amazed at like just all these people just come out of their houses and walk about town.
I think it's because it's nice up there most of the time.
It's nice here right now, and nobody's outside walking.
It's gonna be 100 degrees today. It's not nice.
I was outside 3 days ago. It was 85 for the high. It was beautiful. We took the family and the dog for a walk at the park, and I'm like, aren't we just a little?
Didn't we just bitch about the dog at the park yesterday?
I didn't say it was enjoyable, but we were outside walking. We were outside just being.
Did you get a new dog?
I did. Yeah, he'll be a year old here in a couple days. So,
gotcha.
Got him first part of June last year. So, I knew that there was no way he was going to be ready to do what we did. So, he got a red shirt year.
Gotcha. So, yeah. No, I've got a 7-year-old black lab, and I got to start thinking about next steps here in the next couple of years on getting another one to kind of retire him and bring the new one on.
Andy had the best take on that, because I kept saying to Andy, I go, when are you going to get another dog? Lou's getting old. And he said it best. He goes, I don't want to have to, it's not fair to get a new dog and him not get to go. And it's not fair to make Lou, who's still healthy, can go, to stay at home. He goes, so it's really not fair. So I'm going to let Lou live out his life until I get another one. And that made sense, because if Lou would have lived, you'd have hunted him all that next year. He was in great shape. Mm-hmm. He just was getting old.
Evidently he had a heart issue we didn't know about.
Well, but he was getting old. He was 11 years old, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, that's 77.
11, still hunting at 11 is great. I mean, my thought is he turns 10 in September he'll turn 10. He's 7 now.
Yeah.
He'll turn 8 this year. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get a pup like right around the same time as his birthday, hunt him his 10th year. And then just after that, he's retired and he gets to stay at home. But then I'm like, oh shit, if he's like Lou, he's like, still wants to go. I'm like, I don't know what to do at that point. It'd be tough to take both of them.
Yeah. Cause Lou knew the program. So like I wake up and I go brush my teeth and he's by the door waiting to go. You know what I mean? Like he's laying there while I'm brushing my teeth, and it would have been tough knowing that he could still go and have him looking at me and like, all right,
well, you'd feel horrible.
Am I going? And then like, you got to be like, oh, well, I'm taking the new guy today. So,
I don't know if I could do that. So Weller, he loses his mind every morning. He knows, I'm putting on the camo, it's 4 a.m. He knows that we're going. And then there'd be times where I get invited to go sea duck hunting, whatever else. And you usually don't take a dog sea duck hunting.
Right.
And, I've got all the gear and he sees all the gear and he's not going. My wife calls me. She's like, you son of a bitch. It's 4 a.m. He's whining. He's crying. He's at the door. She was like, can't you just take him? I'm like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Same with my wife. Like, there'd be times where for whatever reason, clients had a dog or whatever, and I would leave Lou at home, or even if it was just like a rest day, and same thing. Like I get a text from my wife. Well, we've been up since 4.
Yeah, no, he's relentless, absolutely relentless.
She didn't mean that in a nice way either, did she?
No, no. There was nothing. There was not a thing. Nice.
Hope you're enjoying your morning.
Yeah, I've been up since you left, basically. So it's like, well,
no. I've gotten those texts many times.
Yeah. So now it's the Roy show. So we'll see. We're gonna start force fetching here pretty quick. So. That's going to be a whole nother thing.
Weller went off and to training, and he was rock steady, absolutely rock steady. He comes from a field trial line. I bought him up in Maine, so he's a local dog, used to the cold temperatures. For the first couple of years, he never broke. Had the biggest drive to retrieve, never broke. I would almost forget to send him sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, a couple of years in, I let him get away with breaking here and breaking there. Dude, now it's a constant battle at 7 years old, which it shouldn't be. And it's all my fault, but he'll break, and it drives me absolutely bonkers when he breaks.
Do you tie him up? Cause I tied Lou up.
No, I don't. I've tried it a few times. It's almost a bigger pain in the ass, because if he lurches or whatever else, and then the chain gets tangled up and you're messing with that. And it's just like, he's I'd say maybe 30-40% of the time he'll break, but he usually does it in a way where he'll come out of the kennel, blind, he'll stop and then wait and then go. Like he won't just like totally launch into the water.
Right.
but he'll move, and it drives me freaking nuts.
So there's a blind out right now. I think Rig'em might make it. And anyway, it's got like a door in front of it, and then like you just pull that. It's got like a little. It's kind of like the quick release system from Gundog. Yeah. It's got the Gundog quick release system was really good because it's got the leash on it, and then it's just got this little line that you pull, and then it releases them that way. So you're not really having to like go down to the collar and unclip them that way. So the quick release system is really good. But then also this blind. It's got like a door in front of it, and it's got like that spring loaded, and you pull the line, and that door swings open. So that's what Roy's going to learn out of.
No, I think that's a great idea. You know, the overhead cover for me is important hunting in the marsh because there's no tall cover. I mean, you guys have seen those marshes; it's grass and there's nothing overhead. So I've always thought that one of these companies should come out with a blind where you have the front of the blind, but then it sticks out like 2 feet above the blind, just in case the dog's head's out, or if they creep a little bit, it just covers them up just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. I'm pretty sure it's Rig'em right. No, maybe not.
Mine Rig'em? I think mine's Rig'em right. It's an accordion blind. It's like a little teepee. It's shaped.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one. That is not what this is.
That one's great. I mean, it's easy up, easy down. You got gloves on. It's cold. I love that blind.
Hold on. Let me find this. Dog blind with door. How about that? Dakota. It is Dakota. It is not Rig'em right. I was wrong.
Dakota.
It is Dakota Decoy X Series collapsible blind. It's $200, but like I said, it's got that door on it that's got like the quick release thing. So it's good. I would recommend that, especially if your dog breaks. But and like that,
I don't know if I could break him at 7.
It's got a heavy enough latch to where you don't have to worry about the dog muscling through the door. So that is one thing that I like about it. So it's good. Gotcha. It's good. But I hadn't got to use it a whole lot.
You guys have for New England? What other questions?
Don't really have much. It's been a very good podcast. We've enjoyed having you on here.
Beautiful
Done a
place
good job.
Thank you.
You
didn't say anything about the Tarleton State University. Didn't you have a kid that went to Tarleton?
I had 2 of them that spent a bunch of money, and they never graduated from there.
Beat Texas.
They beat Texas.
So
in baseball.
I'm a diehard Texan.
Did they? They did beat Texas their day in baseball. I saw that.
Yeah. They did. They beat them in baseball, and they beat Army in football, which I played football at Tarleton. So it's I'm a big fan of Tarleton football.
You and Cole Wetzel.
I really thought Billy Gillespie was going to turn the basketball program around. I saw where they're letting him go. He's a hell of a basketball coach. I mean, he went from Texas A&M to Kentucky to Tarleton, and I really thought he would turn it around. But Stephenville's a growing area.
Oh, that's
booming.
I mean, if you go there, the new stadium they have, the facilities they have,
it's crazy.
I mean, it was not like that in 2001 when I graduated.
No.
So I took my son back. He's a high school football player. He's trying to take the next step and play in college. He's going to be a senior at Colleyville Heritage this year. But I went back this summer because he wanted to do the camp at Tarleton. And one of my buddies, Scott Carey, is the offensive line coach at Tarleton. And I was talking to him and chit-chatting, and he was the center. I was a guard his senior season. And he was like, "Hey, I want to introduce you to the team. They serve them in the summertime. They serve them lunch every day." I'm like, "Well, we didn't get that. We're eating like ramen and mac and cheese." But anyways, they feed them every day at lunch. He's introduced me to these linemen. I mean, they look like Adonis, and none of them are fat. They're all like 6'5", 6'6". They look like, Scandinavian warriors. I'm like, holy shit. I was like, I'm not sure I would have played here. At this point, I'm 6'4", I was like 295. I was like, these guys make me look small.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's a different breed there now. They've definitely done a good job.
It's crazy what they're pumping on kids. I mean, nowadays, I mean, they just put on the weight. There's a kid going to Midwestern in our area, and they want to make him a tight end or a wide receiver.
He's going to play wide receiver. I thought at one time it's tight end.
They're going to put 20 pounds on this kid.
This kid's 185, 6'5".
185 pounds. They're like, no problem. We'll have 20 pounds on him this summer.
You guys remember Freiermuth, who played? I think he's still in the league. He plays tight end for the Steelers.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So he went to school here in North Andover, and I went. There's a local barber shop. It's a great barber shop, and all the local people go there. And I walked in there one day, and this kid stands up. I'm like, son of a bitch, it's a big kid. And he was a high school kid. He was like, my size, but fit. And I was like, holy cow! And the barber, Anthony, who owns the place, he's like, you know who that is? And I was like, no. He's like, yeah, he's a senior in high school right now. He's heading to Penn State. I was like, oh, no shit. And then next thing I know, he gets drafted and is playing at Pittsburgh. But dude, you're right though. I mean, the level of athlete now with, the programs they put them on, they're just beasts.
Yeah, they really are. It's crazy. I mean, I didn't know you could put on pounds like that as a kid or as an 18-year-old, but they figured out a way to do it.
My kids point out all the time that I keep putting on more weight, so I can put it on just different places.
Gets easier as you get older.
Yeah, just piles right on.
Right kind of weight. Right kind of weight.
Well, Kevin, appreciate you having you on. Hope we see you again. We will be at the Ducks in I guess it's first weekend in August, isn't it? In Memphis. So. Hopefully you can make it out.
I'm gonna try.
Next time I get up at Boston area, I'll give you a holler.
Yeah, give me a holler, please. No, if you guys ever want to come up, actually you can't because you're working hard during duck season. But if you're ever up here and it's but let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Michelle might end up that way in October. Last year we went to Montana, and we may end up in the East Coast again this October. But we will holler at you. Before we get off out here, gotta say rest in peace to Chuck Norris, who passed away today.
R.I.P.
Oh, jeez.
Been a shit year.
The world's ending now.
We lost.
Who's going to protect us against Iran?
I know. We lost Robert Duvall.
To step in.
Lost Gus and Walker all in the same month. So it's been a shit March.
Willie, you better watch out. You might be number 3.
Nah, he's gonna go on forever.
Don't say that.
He's drinking that weed. He's good.
Kevin, thank you very much. God bless you. Have a good day, my friend.
See you, Kevin.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
And thank you, Shin Gear, for sponsoring the public land segment. I love these public hunting segments. Peace. God bless. Have a great day. Check them out at shingear.com.
Watch for deer.